Okay, well, the Bible began to be written only a short time ago, relatively speaking. When one considers the fact that the universe is nearly 14 billion years old and the birth of the planet, Earth can be reliably dated between 4.5 and 5 billion years ago, the beginning of the Bible writing near the year 1000 BCE is very recent. That's before current or before common, before Christian era. Scientists now date the appearance of human life on this planet somewhere between 4 million and 250,000 years ago, depending on how one defines human life. The beginning of civilization is based between 10 and 15,000 years ago. The person we call Abraham, who is regarded in the Bible as the founder of the Jewish nation, is generally dated about 1850 BCE. Abraham is, however, a vague memory even in the Bible, since he lived about 45 generations before the first word of the Old Testament was written. And finally, the creation stories. The first, which we just heard told to the children, and the second, which I will read in a moment, were likely not written until the late 7th century BCE. The creation stories told in response to the question, how did we get here, were part of a long oral tradition long before they were set to parchment. These stories, told from the context of understanding the nature of the universe and the nature of God, very differently how we understand those today. And yet within the stories, even though the timeline and many of the facts are incorrect, there are some profound intuitive thoughts. As you hear this second creation account from Genesis, I invite you to look for those moments of intuitive knowing experienced by our ancient ancestors. And now, reading Genesis chapter 2, verses 4 to 9 and 15 to 17. In the day that God made the earth and the heavens, when no plant of the field was yet in the earth, and no herb of the field had yet sprung up, for God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no one to till the ground, but a stream would rise from the earth and water the whole face of the ground. Then God formed humans from the dust of the ground and breathed into their nostrils the breath of life, and humans became living beings. And God planted a garden in Eden, in the east, and there he put the humans whom he had formed. Out of the ground, God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also in the middle of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God took the humans and put them in the Garden of Eden to till it and to keep it. And God commanded them, "You may freely eat of every tree in the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in this day that you shall eat of it, you shall die." Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Thanks be to God.
Thanks,